Imagine waking up tomorrow to discover that the citizenship you worked years to obtain, the American dream you finally achieved, could be taken away. This is not a hypothetical scenario anymore. The Trump administration has just set an unprecedented target to strip citizenship from thousands of naturalized Americans in 2026, and this policy shift could affect millions. Whether you became a citizen last year or decades ago, this development demands your immediate attention. Stay with me because what I'm about to share could be the most important information you hear this year. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is and I create content to help you understand complex policy changes that directly impact your life. Today we're diving into something that has sent shockwaves through immigrant communities across America. The Trump administration has set a goal of stripping citizenship from over 1,000 naturalized Americans in fiscal year 2026, truth out, marking what experts call an unprecedented escalation in immigration enforcement. This isn't just about policy anymore. This is about your security, your family's future, and your fundamental rights as an American citizen. I've spent the past week researching this topic, consulting legal experts, and analyzing the implications. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening, who's at risk, and most importantly, what you need to do to protect yourself. Make sure you watch until the very end, because I'll share critical resources and action steps you cannot afford to miss. Let's start with the facts. New guidance issued to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services field offices instructs officials to supply the Office of Immigration Litigation with between 100 and 200 denaturalization cases per month during the 2026 fiscal year Naturalized. To put this in perspective, only 11 denaturalization cases were opened per year on average between 1,990 and 2017 truth out. Even during Trump's first administration, when immigration enforcement intensified, this number only rose to about 25 cases annually. What we're seeing now is an increase of more than 40 times the historical average. This is not a gradual policy adjustment. This is a fundamental transformation in how America treats its naturalized citizens. Understanding what denaturalization actually means is crucial. Denaturalization is the legal process through which the government can revoke citizenship from someone who obtained it through naturalization. This is different from deportation of non-citizens. Only federal courts have the authority to denaturalize a U.S. citizen, and the government must meet a high evidentiary standard nation change. The process typically occurs when prosecutors allege that citizenship was obtained illegally or through misrepresentation of material facts during the naturalization process. This could include lying about criminal history, failing to disclose relevant information, or providing false documentation. Now, here's what makes this particularly concerning. The Supreme Court has repeatedly stated that citizenship and naturalization are too precious and fundamental to our democracy for the government to take it away on their whim off change. Despite this constitutional protection, the administration is pushing forward with aggressive targets. Immigration advocates and former officials worry that numerical targets could lead to overly aggressive enforcement, potentially affecting people who made minor errors on their applications years ago, or those whose cases lack substantial evidence of fraud. Who exactly is at risk? According to official statements, USCIS is targeting individuals who have fraudulently become naturalized citizens, pursuing denaturalization proceedings for those individuals lying or misrepresenting themselves during the naturalization process, Washington Examiner. However, the implementation of monthly case quotas raises legitimate concerns. Former USCIS officials have warned that imposing arbitrary numerical targets on denaturalization cases risks politicizing citizenship revocation and turning what should be a serious and rare tool into a blunt instrument. The administration's focus appears to extend beyond simple fraud cases. Trump has made public statements suggesting he would denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility, and he has repeatedly mentioned specific public figures as potential targets. This suggests that the criteria for denaturalization might be interpreted more broadly than the legal standards traditionally required. The stated focus is on fraud and criminality, but critics argue that the implementation of monthly quotas creates pressure to meet targets regardless of the strength of individual cases. Let me be clear about the legal process involved. Denaturalization cannot happen automatically or through administrative action. Every case must go through federal court, where the government bears the burden of proof. The legal standard is high. The government must demonstrate not only that you made a false statement, but that the false statement was material to your eligibility for citizenship. Minor errors or mistakes that didn't affect your eligibility typically wouldn't meet this legal standard. This is an important protection, but it also means that even if you're targeted, you'll face a lengthy and potentially expensive legal battle. What happens if someone is successfully denaturalized? In most cases, individuals who are successfully denaturalized revert to lawful permanent resident status, assuming they held that status before naturalization, Berardi immigration law. However, they would lose critical rights that come with citizenship. This includes the right to vote, eligibility for certain government jobs, protection from deportation, and the ability to sponsor family members for immigration benefits. Essentially, you would return to the same status you had before becoming a citizen, but with the added stigma and uncertainty of having had your citizenship revoked. The broader context matters here. This denaturalization push is part of a wider immigration crackdown that has included travel bans affecting over 30 countries, attempts to end birthright citizenship, cancellations of naturalization ceremonies for people from designated high-risk countries, and comprehensive reviews of green cards issued to immigrants from certain regions. Recent reports indicate that people have been pulled from naturalization ceremonies moments before becoming citizens, and thousands of student visas have been revoked. The administration has made clear that reducing both illegal and legal immigration is a priority. About 26 million naturalized citizens currently live in the United States, according to Census Bureau data. The largest numbers come from Mexico, India, the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, and Vietnam. While only a fraction of these individuals may ultimately face denaturalization proceedings, the psychological impact on immigrant communities cannot be understated. When the government sets quotas for stripping citizenship, it sends a message that naturalized citizens are second-class Americans whose status is fundamentally less secure than those born in the country. So what should you do if you're a naturalized citizen? First, don't panic. The vast majority of naturalized citizens have nothing to worry about. If you obtained your citizenship through legitimate means and provided accurate information during your application process, you should be fine. However, being informed and prepared is essential. Review your naturalization file if you still have it. Make sure you understand exactly what information you provided during your application process. If you're concerned about any aspect of your naturalization, now is the time to consult with an experienced immigration attorney. Do not wait until you receive notice of denaturalization proceeding. Second, understand your rights. If you are contacted by immigration officials or receive any notice regarding denaturalization, you have the right to legal representation. Do not speak with officials without consulting an attorney first. Remember that the government must prove its case in federal court with a high burden of proof. You are entitled to full due process, including the right to present evidence, call witnesses, and challenge the government's claims. This is not a summary process. It's a full legal proceeding with all the protections that entails. Third, keep documentation of your life in America. Maintain records of your employment, tax returns, community involvement, and family ties. If you're ever challenged, having comprehensive documentation of your life as an American citizen can be invaluable. Keep your passport current and store important documents in a safe place where you can access them quickly if needed. Consider making copies of critical documents and storing them electronically as well. Fourth, stay informed about policy changes. Immigration policy is evolving rapidly, and what's true today may change tomorrow. Follow reliable news sources, consult with immigration advocacy organizations, and consider joining community groups that can provide support and information. Organizations like the American Immigration Council, the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, and local immigrant rights groups can be valuable resources. For those still in the process of becoming citizens, this situation creates additional uncertainty. Naturalization ceremonies have been canceled for applicants from certain countries, and enhanced vetting procedures have been implemented. If your ceremony has been canceled or your application is experiencing unusual delays, seek legal advice immediately. Document all communications with USCIS and keep detailed records of your case timeline. The process may take longer than expected, but don't give up. Continue following up on your application status and consider enlisting help from your congressional representatives if you encounter unreasonable delays. It's also worth noting the historical context. America has a dark history of denaturalization based on political affiliations, race, and gender. More than 22,000 Americans lost their citizenship between 1907 and 1967. During World War I, the government denaturalized German and Asian-born citizens, as well as anarchists and people who spoke out against the war. During World War I, this push intensified for naturalized citizens from Germany, Italy, and Japan. We move beyond this shameful chapter in our history precisely because we recognize that citizenship should not be contingent on political views or national origin. The current policy raises concerns that we may be returning to practices that we once rejected as fundamentally un-American. The practical challenges of implementing this policy are significant. The Justice Department is already stretched thin, and proving denaturalization cases in federal court is time-consuming and resource-intensive. Legal experts suggest that while the guidance sets ambitious targets, the actual number of successful denaturalizations may be far lower than the administration hopes. However, even unsuccessful denaturalization attempts can devastate families financially and emotionally. The legal costs of defending against such proceedings can be enormous, and the stress of having your citizenship challenged can impact every aspect of your life. Looking ahead to 2026, we can expect continued developments in this area. The administration has made immigration enforcement a cornerstone of its agenda, and with billions in new funding allocated to immigration agencies, the resources to pursue these cases are available. Midterm elections in November could shift the political landscape, but for now, the policy trajectory is clear. Naturalized citizens, particularly those from countries designated as high risk, should be prepared for increased scrutiny and potential challenges to their status. I want to emphasize something important. Being a naturalized citizen does not make you less American than someone born here. Your contributions to this country, your commitment to its values, and your participation in its civic life are what define your place in America. The law recognizes naturalized citizens as being on equal footing with native-born citizens. While the current policy creates uncertainty, remember that you have rights, you have legal protections, and you have communities that will stand with you. The road ahead may be challenging, but knowledge is power. By understanding what's happening, knowing your rights, and taking proactive steps to protect yourself, you can navigate this difficult period with confidence. Stay connected with your community, support fellow naturalized citizens who may be facing challenges, and don't hesitate to seek professional legal advice when needed. This is not the time for fear, but it is the time for vigilance and solidarity. Thank you so much for watching this important video. I know this topic is heavy and perhaps frightening for many of you, but I hope this information has helped you understand the situation more clearly and given you practical steps to protect yourself. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with any naturalized citizens in your life who need to hear this information. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future updates on this developing situation. I'll be closely monitoring these policy changes and bringing you the latest information as it becomes available. In the description below, I've included links to immigration legal resources, advocacy organizations, and government websites where you can find additional information and support. Remember, you're not alone in this. Millions of naturalized Americans are watching these developments alongside you, and there are resources and communities ready to help. If you have questions or want to share your experience, please leave a comment below. I read every comment and your stories matter. Together, we can navigate this challenge and continue building the inclusive, diverse America that has always been our greatest strength. Stay informed, stay strong, and remember that your citizenship represents not just legal status, but your commitment to the ideals and values that make America what it is. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.